so let's start with it. Okay, so let's start. So in the second video, we'll be talking about quartiles, range, and when we talk about consistency, we talk about coefficient of variation. So this video will talk about the measures of dispersion, that is range, quartile deviation, and coefficient of variation. Suppose we are given with two batsmen, that is batsman X and batsman Y. These are the runs scored by them in 20 matches. So first of all, what we need to do is, first of all, for calculating the value of quartile from this series, let's suppose we consider these as numbers. So while we need to calculate the quartile, one, that is the lower quartile, you need to type quartile only, then you need to give the range. For that, you need to place your cursor here, control shift and down arrow, and comma quartile यहाँ पर आपको mention करना है whether you want to find out the first quartile or third quartile. तो यहाँ पर आप press करेंगे 1 bracket close and enter. तो ये आपको क्या निकाल के देता है, Q1 की वैल्यू निकाल के देता है. Likewise आप यहाँ पर Q3 निकालने के लिए अगेन प्रेस करिए क्वार्टाइल, इसी तरीके से अपना कर्सर यहाँ रखिए, ये रेंज सेलेक्ट करिए, कॉमा 3, दैट इज द थर्ड क्वार्टाइल, ब्रैकेट क्लोज and enter. This gives you the value of third quartile. So for calculating the quartile deviation, first of all we'll be finding out semi interquartile range, that is Q3 minus Q1 and enter. And just a second, this is Q3. And if we need to find out quartile deviation, what we can do is, the formula is Q3 minus Q1 divided by 2. So we can take this value divided by 2. This gives us the value of quartile deviation. तो इसी तरीके से हम x वाली जैसे हमने वैल्यूज निकाली, सिमिलरली हम y वाली वैल्यूज भी निकाल सकते हैं. लेट्स कॉपी these values here, and here we can mark it as y. Okay, so again it would be a kind of practice. So what we can do is quartile, then similarly give the selection in the series y, comma 1, bracket close and enter. ये आपको quartile 1 निकाल के देता है as per the data available in y series. Likewise यहाँ लिखिए quartile and ये वाला data again copy करिए, comma third quartile, that is 3, bracket close and enter. Then Q3 minus Q1 and enter. And for calculating quartile deviation, 42 divided by 2. So this is how we can make use of quartiles for calculating quartile deviations. Then coming on to the range part, range stands for the largest value minus smallest value. So for calculating the range, we have the formula, that is we can find the maximum value from this series, that is max from the series X, bracket close. This gives us the value as 150. As we can see that 150 is the maximum value that we are available with. Then finding out the minimum value, write min and again select and give this range, bracket close and enter. 10 is the lowermost value. So you can take the largest value minus h. And similarly, the minimum value, that is the smallest value from this range, bracket close, equals to 234 minus 5 gives you the value of L minus S, that is the range. So this is how we can find out the value of range and quartile deviation with the help of syntaxes in Excel. Coming on to coefficient of variation, which is calculated when the question says whether the batsman is consistent or he performs uniform. जब इस तरीके के words use किए जाते हैं, which batsman is more consistent, which batsman is more uniform in its performance, उसमें हम क्या कैलकुलेट करते हैं, कोफिशिएंट ऑफ वेरिएशन, फॉर विच द फॉर्मूला इज स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन अपॉन मीन इनटू 100. सो पहले हम क्या करेंगे, दोनों सीरीज के हम एवरेज दैट इज मीन निकाल लेते हैं, like this. I have taught calculation of mean in the previous video also. Comes out to be 88.05. Likewise, for calculating standard deviation, write STDEV. Select it, give the range for it, bracket close, and enter. Then for the second series, again average, give this range, bracket close, and enter. And here STDEV, that is standard deviation. Then give the range, bracket close, and enter. So we get these values as average for the first series is 88.05 and standard deviation is 42.38. And for the second series, the average is 81.8 and the standard deviation is 52.62. So we can place these values here for calculating coefficient of variation, which is equals to standard deviation upon mean multiplied by 100, which gives us the value as 48.1316. Likewise, for calculation of series Y, standard deviation divided by mean multiplied by 100, we get the value as 64.3244. So which batsman is more consistent? Whose coefficient of variation is less? So batsman X is more consistent while scoring runs. जिसका भी कोफिशिएंट ऑफ वेरिएशन कम होता है वो क्या होता है, ज्यादा कंसिस्टेंट होता है, ज्यादा यूनिफॉर्म होता है, बिकॉज उसमें वेरिएशंस कम है एज कंपेयर टू द अदर बैट्समैन. सो दीज आर द मेजर्स ऑफ डिस्पर्जन, जिसमें कि हमने क्वार्टाइल डेविएशन, रेंज और कोफिशिएंट ऑफ वेरिएशन सीखा. दैट्स ऑल फॉर द डे. थैंक यू. डू सब्सक्राइब, शेयर and